LinkedIn believes B2B marketing can be B2 brilliant, B2 bold, and B2 breakthrough. How? With a platform purpose-built to make B2B marketing mean more for your business. A platform with tools to help you build better relationships with your key customers, to boost your buyer's journey while building your brand. A platform with trusted data and lead generation you need to beat your KPIs, drive ROI, and stand out amongst the competition. And with the targeting tools on LinkedIn, you can reach your precise audience right down to their job title, company name, location, and more to make sure your ads are always seen by those who matter. So let's get ready to be too boldly go where no marketer has gone before, because LinkedIn is where B2B is everything it can be. Rethink your B2B marketing ads and get $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's got the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. Today I am here with Bryan Whittington. A very proper name. Only he spells Bryan with a Y, so it's a little bit more hipper. So.
Yeah, or it screwed me up for life. I can't spell anything.
Oh, I know. So Bryan runs his own sales consultancy coaching business called Evergreen Business Services. Before that, he was working. You were at Sandler, right? Which is pretty much, which you pretty much had your own business anyhow. It's just you were working under the umbrella of Sandler.
Correct.
And then before that, he was a flyboy for the Air National Guard. He's based out near Pittsburgh, and he flew the glorified gas station in the sky. The K-130?
Yeah, KC-135 was a glorified gas station attendant.
But look, I watching those videos of the plane hooking up in midair. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun, and we had the easy job. I was able to keep the autopilot on. You guys paid your taxes, so it allowed me to have a blast. So thank you for paying your taxes.
You're welcome. At least, well, they're not repairing the roads in Pennsylvania. At least they're doing something with the taxes.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
The roads are terrible around here. So anyhow, Bryan, so how did you get started? I mean, you went to Robert Morris University?
Yes.
And let's also mention he also has his own podcast, the Talents, Sales, and Scale Show. So everyone go check that out as well. So
yeah, definitely check it out.
It's a very good show. I like it a lot. So we actually, to start over, we met via Pavilion, which is a great membership organization, global membership organization of sales and marketing professionals and executives. And Bryan and I hit it off because we're both, Pennsylvania boys. And, he's in Pittsburgh, which is like a less of a population of like all of this Philadelphia proper, which I never knew.
A lesser city than Philly.
Is that a lesser city? It's just a smaller city.
Much smaller, absolutely. I didn't realize how big Philly was.
Philly's the 8th biggest city in the nation.
Nice.
Which is huge. So anyhow, so Bryan, so how did you get started? Like, did you always want to do sales?
No.
How did you start? How'd you get started?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? So in the old days, most people didn't want to get into sales. They just ended up in sales, right? I wasn't smart enough to be an engineer, and I didn't have the patience to learn coding or anything else like that. And I'm not detailed enough to do admin. So I ended up in sales. Yeah. And the curious thing is, I wish that I would have known then all that I know about sales today, right?
Wow.
Because if that was indeed the case, sales is a life changer. My dad, he was a truck driver, for goodness sakes, right? My mother, she was in retail sales. And that's how I ended up in sales, is because that's kind of what I knew. And I knew I didn't want to work as hard as my dad. So I got into sales after, and thank heavens I did, because whenever I lost my flying career, I ended up with vertigo.
Ooh, and not a good thing to do while you're flying.
Yeah, I used to pay a ton of money to feel like that, and now I pay a ton of money not to feel like that. So whenever I lost my flying career, thankfully, I was able to get into sales. And I thought I knew what I was doing in sales and was pretty decent. I had read all the books and really fell in love with entrepreneurship back in around 2000, 2001, 2002.
Okay.
Have you ever read The E Myth by Michael Gerber?
Yes. I was revisited one.
That's what launched it all for me. I absolutely fell in love with entrepreneurship in 2002, kind of figured it out. In 2008, 2009, I had just lost my flying career.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
doing real estate as an investor and as an agent. In 2008, 2009,
Best
you're old
time.
enough to remember.
Best
Oh yeah,
time, yeah.
lovely time to do that. So I ended up finding out about Sandler training.
Mhm.
And when I went into Sandler training, I thought, oh my gosh, there's actually a system and a methodology to this. And
Mhm.
that's what hooked me in. So 2009 was really where things started to take off for me.
That's awesome. So Sandler, for those who don't know, it's like an overarching company that has a bunch of consultants, right? You're all Sandler consultants.
Precisely.
All have your own essentially branch of Sandler Consulting where you use their methodology to help other people, help business owners and stuff.
Correct. So it's a sales methodology that really allowed me how to interact with people. I'll give it credit. I don't think if it weren't for Sandler and what I was learning there, I don't know if my wife and I would still be together.
Oh wow. It
It is
saved your marriage.
yeah, it's like Dale Carnegie. It's like Zig Ziglar. I mean, any one of these are really all in the same, but they teach you a methodology. They teach you interpersonal skills. They
Yeah.
teach you how to listen and ask proper questions. And
Mhm.
that's really what launched because that's the foundation for everything. Because if you can do those things, listen, ask right questions,
Mhm.
I don't care the position, you can start to do well because you know how to read people, listen to people, and ask right questions to better understand people.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. LinkedIn believes B2B marketing can be B2 brilliant, B2 bold, and B2 breakthrough. How? With a platform purpose built to make B2B marketing mean more for your business. A platform with tools to help you build better relationships with your key customers, to boost your buyer's journey while building your brand. A platform with trusted data and lead generation you need to beat your KPIs, drive ROI, and stand out amongst the competition. And with the targeting tools on LinkedIn, you can reach your precise audience right down to their job title, company name, location, and more to make sure your ads are always seen by those who matter. So let's get ready to be to boldly go where no marketer has gone before because LinkedIn is where B2B is everything it can be. Rethink your B2B marketing ads and get $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Yeah, because that's what it is, and I think a lot of people, and me included, with sales until I've seen the difference of hard selling. I used to sell, construction boxes to construction sites, cold calling, all that stuff, and like, why aren't you buying from me? Why aren't you buying from me? Then turning it into more of a relationship and saying, hey, this could really help you. Have you had an issue with break-ins at your construction sites?
Right.
Because our system, our locking system on these mobile mini containers, have a tri-cam locking system, and then supposedly it's better because they'll drive a forklift into the side and get in. Whatever semantics here, but it's really the relationship thing. Learning that, I think that that's great that Sandler taught you that and taught you about how to approach things, and then you can then taught other people how to do it.
Precisely. And then from there, once you learn the interpersonal skills, I'd mentioned a little bit earlier, I loathe detail. I've taken assessments, Seth,
Oh,
that, on a scale of 1 to 10, how detailed are you? I was literally a zero. I mean,
oh wow.
it's horrendous. And so, unfortunately, I allowed my lack of detail orientation, my lack of um, want of process
Hmm.
rush me. And for too long, I allowed that to happen. And as the entrepreneur, I tried to delegate that to others. And
Hmm.
what I found was it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter it's
Hmm.
just like sales. It doesn't matter whether you like prospecting or not. You just have to do it. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter whether you like details or not. You have to do it and find the systems and processes that you will work in spite of the fact that you loathe systems and processes because
Yeah.
they're too restrictive.
So you've been doing entrepreneurship. You got out of the flying game. You started the entrepreneurship thing with Sandler, and then you left, you started your own gig. What's the best thing? You also have a whole herd of children and a dog and a
Yeah.
wife. Don't you have like 6 kids?
6 kids. We're
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. They're crazy, but in a good way, especially because you adopted some as well. That's fantastic because
Yeah.
there's a lot of kids who need homes. And with that in mind, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
Well, you get to choose the 100 hours a week that you work, right?
I love
So
that. Yeah, for
complete
sure.
flexibility. No, the thing that I enjoy most about entrepreneurship is
Mhm,
the creativity. What I love to do is create the solutions to problems. That's what
mhm,
really gets me. I love to problem solve. I love to identify the root cause problem, fix it once, and then find the next root cause problem to fix and
mhm.
always improving. That's the thing that I enjoyed the most. Whenever I was flying airplanes, it is so boring to fly straight and level. It's just you want to sleep.
It's kinda necessary when you're fueling up $100 million fighter jet,
Yeah, exactly.
with
So
millimeters to spare.
yeah, I mean, it is just so boring. You're a glorified bus driver, right? Is that's really what you are. But what I enjoyed about flying was the challenge of takeoff and landing. And the more difficult and challenging the weather, the more I enjoyed it because I love challenge. And I
Mhm,
think that's really what has drawn me into entrepreneurship is because you have to be a little bit crazy to have a really low regard for risk, right? You have to have a high degree of risk tolerance to be able to do
mhm.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's really what keeps me going every single day is that facing risk, facing complexity every single day and figuring it out.
I love it. And then so what's the scariest thing?
That same thing, I guess, the other side of the coin, right? Because as you're figuring it out, you don't have any safety net. And I would even challenge you, those that are W-2'd, I mean, you look at what's going on
You
in
don't
the
have a safety
SaaS
net there
world.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You get look what's going on in the SaaS world. People are getting chopped left and right. So it really gets down to cash flow management. I mean, because
Mhm.
growth sucks cash,
Oh, it
it's
does.
cash flow management and learning how to do all of those things. I guess that's the scariest part. But again, it's just another problem to solve. So I enjoy it. And that
Mhm.
brings me back to one of my biggest lessons learned is taking that detail orientation, bringing it into that cash flow management and figuring out predictable revenue processes so you know what to expect and how to anticipate challenges.
Love it. And so what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
For entrepreneurship as well as life in general, I'd say humility, right?
That's a good one,
Because
yeah.
if you can, it's that intellectual humility, having the confidence that you know that you can do something, but being humble enough to learn, being
Mm,
humble enough to be coachable. And that was a real challenge for me for too long. And I go back to an old mentor of mine, guy by the name of John Rosso. I called him up one day. I said, John, I really need to apologize. What a jerk I was whenever I was working with you because I didn't realize how closed off I was to coaching because I always wanted to prove myself right. We were in consulting, right? So we had
yeah.
to show our brilliance. That's not the case. The peer group, and this is one of the greatest things about
Mhm,
Pavilion, Seth, that you and I are in,
mhm.
that peer learning, peer knowledge, if you're open to hearing others perspectives, you might disagree with it vehemently, but you're going to learn from it and be able
Yes,
to improve. So I think that's the
absolutely.
biggest thing is having that intellectual humility to constantly grow and learn.
Love it. Love it. That's spot on. I think that's the best answer to that question in almost 100 episodes. So that was brilliant. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
So where can people find you online? Where's your watering hole? LinkedIn, is that your biggest spot that you post most in? Like, where do you hang out online?
Yeah, I'm mostly on LinkedIn, so you can check me out on LinkedIn there. Bryan with a Y, Whittington. I have a silent H in there, so check me out there. Posting all the time, and
Yeah.
hopefully you'll find that content pretty good. You can also check me out on the Talent, Sales, and Scale show.
Yes.
We talk about how do you identify ways to hire good sales talent because you know this even
It's
bad ones
tough.
interview well, right?
Actually, the
And
bad ones interview well and the good ones don't
yeah,
a lot of
isn't that the
times.
truth, right? Yeah, that's a really good point. So we talk about hiring salespeople, how to scale a business because that's key, right?
Mhm.
Putting systems
Oh
and
god, yeah.
processes in place, and then lastly, sales techniques and tactics. So all kinds of different things. We just finished one. It's going to drop next week or so on on branding, bringing your messaging in for branding, which you can absolutely tie into sales. So especially for outbound sales. So we try to blend that all together. So check me out on LinkedIn and that Talent, Sales, and Scale podcast.
Yes, we'll have all the links in the show notes. So Bryan, this has been so much fun. I
Well, I
told you it should be a
appreciate it.
quick episode. We like to keep these things quick because everyone's busy being entrepreneurs. So you can only talk so much and then you have to get back to the work. So Bryan, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we'll get to hang out real soon. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it.
That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you are listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Izzy House hosts a great podcast called the Space Marketing Podcast. Izzy, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
Space Marketing Podcast is where we explore marketing principles, strategies, and tactics through the lens of space. I talk space with some very interesting industry professionals about their challenges and successes with marketing in the new commercial space economy. This show is for business leadership, entrepreneurs, and the space curious.
Wow. And where in the universe can people subscribe?
All of the major channels, and you can also find it on MPN and spacemarketingpodcast.com.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.